What is up, fight fans? I am Jason Burgos for Sportsnaut.com, and I am joined by one of the baddest men on the planet Earth. Over the last 5 years, he really has become one of the anchors and the face of KSW, and he has been a dominant as their heavyweight champion, and that man I speak of is England's own Phil DeFries, Senor DeFries. Thank you so much for the time today. Has a long, rich history of fighting. It's a place where boxing started. Europe in general has a long history in fight sports and stuff like that. And being the heavyweight champion is a big deal in general, but you are the heavyweight champion of the top promotion in Europe. That's a big deal. Do you feel for you, or maybe for people in the region, people in Poland, people in England, and just in general in that area, does it mean something more to be the KSW champion? Which kind of is like you're the MMA champion of Europe, and when you're the heavyweight champion, you're the baddest man. Is there a different value you see for yourself and maybe people in the area than maybe say people in the US, Japan, stuff like that?
I mean, obviously in Poland, like KSW was a huge brand. It's not like people saying, "Oh, do you do UFC?" They do, "Oh, do you do KSW?" It's a great big deal out there. It's great, to go over there and get recognised and stuff. And I've got a bit of a name value in England as well, from just from around the doors and. Obviously, I've spent some time in the States and things, but it's meant like it's growing all over. Anyone who knows fighting knows KSW. But in Britain as well, we're growing a very strong heavyweight team here. We've got myself, we've got Tom Aspinall, we've got Mick Parkin, we've got a whole stable of great fighters coming out here. We're going to put this place on the map.
I'm sure your contract has come up at least once during your run with KSW. Yet you've been there. You have really become like an anchor, one of the faces of the promotion, like I mentioned in the intro. Have there ever been like points where you did maybe seriously consider an offer from elsewhere? Is it still something you think about because you should? A fighter should always test their value when the contract time comes up, or because they have been so good to you, because you've had such a good strong run, you become like this important part of this big organization. Is there a part of you that kind of just I want to finish with my career in KSW? I kind of just want to be a KSW guy.
No, I mean, I like the name of the game is making money for my family, So I will test the water when contract times are up. But KSW's got the best deal. Also, they've always treated me honestly. They've always treated me right. They've never broke out. They've never tried any funny business. I've fought for other big shows, outside the UFC. And a lot of them don't sell the stadiums out, A lot of the time you fight in there in the half-full stadiums. KSW always sells out, and it's the events are fantastic. It's just the best offer for me, and I'm really enjoying, But I'm always open to I mean, if that PFL 2 million for Francis came about, I would jump on that. That's $2 million, and I honestly feel like I could beat anyone on the planet, especially being a grappler. But I am happy at KSW,
And when I'm sure, like I mentioned, like your contract has come up in those times during your run there. Did in the end KSW, when maybe you checked around, did they were the best offer? They valued you the most, and like you mentioned, they sell out arenas. There's those kind of extra things. In those times, were they kind of always the best value? I mean, maybe it might change the next time you're a free agent because you've done so much. But in those instances previously, did they give you the best offer every time?
Yeah, they're a great offer. I won't entertain a lot. I've been in the game a long time, and some companies are a bit dirty. There's some matchmakers are turds as well. I won't deal with turds. I like honest, decent people. You know what I mean? But I'll always test the water. But they've got the best deal for me at the moment. But the contract will be up soon again, and I'll check it up. But. I want to start. I don't want to take a back pedal and pay for a new promotion either, But like I said, I'm happy where I'm at for now.
So now you've opened the door to me, because now I'm curious on these turds. I'm curious because you've been around, like you mentioned, you've been around the game a long time. You fought all over the world. Like, talk to me, because I don't think a lot of people get that, and especially fans that just watch the UFC only, they may not realize that dark side of the fight game, and it can be ugly and it could be mean, and not just MMA, it's boxing, stuff like that. Like, what's kind of some of the worst stuff? Yeah, and you don't have to name names if you don't want to name promotions, but if you did name promotions, I'd take that too. But, like, what's some of the worst stuff you've dealt with, like, in terms of dirty dealings that when promoters didn't treat you right?
Well, I'm like the outside guy. I was the English guy fighting the Polish guy. I came in as a massive underdog. I've often thought the Polish guys, where the public have been behind the Polish guys, they could have played all sorts of funny tricks to give their guy the advantage, and they've done none of that, But I know, I mean, I personally want to referee when I'm done with the fighting, so I'm not going to burn any bridges with any promotions. But KSW have done no dirty tricks. They've always been honest, and I've heard from other fighters and whatnot, some of the other big hitters aren't as honest and aren't as decent, But I mean, it's the fight game, but it is what it is.
What I appreciate about your reign in KSW is that it hasn't, like, yeah, it's been there's been quite a few Polish fighters, but it hasn't been all Polish fighters. You fought American like Todd Duffy in your last fight, Brazilian, Serbian fighter one time, but it feels like finding new opponents has to be getting kind of tough now for KSW. There's a rich history of clashes, like I mentioned, say between the U.S. champion and the European champion back in the day, like Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling as an example, kind of thing. Is that kind of talking about like the frustrations of the business? Is that one of the big frustrations, considering how successful you've been in KSW, how much you've done, that you can't just easily go fight the Bellator champion heavyweight? You can't fight the UFC, the one championship. Like, is that one of the most annoying things? Because like, how great would it be? DeFries versus, say, Bader, England versus America, KSW versus Bellator. Same thing with John Jones UFC. It would be so easy to promote. Is that one of the tough things about your success and how long it's been?
Well, no, I think KSW are very open to cross promotion fights. I think it's definitely something I would consider. But these things are a lot easier to speak about than to actually make materialize. But I would love a cross promotion fight, like say me versus Francis for the 2 million, or or me versus Beta, or go over to League One, or I love Japan Rise, it'd be great. But I'm happy. KSW is always finding me people to fight, and I'm always kicking them ass, so I'm happy.
Do you think, in a way, like you mentioned, they're open to co-promotion? Do you think, in a way, like what do you feel like it's been the holdup? Is it just the business that's just the way it is? Promotion don't like working together? Is it just kind of like maybe not respecting the level of fight talent in KSW? Like, why isn't a one championship or PFL more open to see, having you come over, fight in a big fight in their pay-per-view or in their championship show? Like, why do you think that there's a holdup, especially if KSW's open to it?
I think you need to sort of develop a long-lasting relationship, with more than one fight, because it's a roll of the dice. Like, if I'm fighting a champion and I beat them, it's going to discredit their organization, And I think I will beat a lot of them. So it needs to be kind of a long-standing deal with multiple bouts and multiple things, where it's kind of, you're going to get more of an even split. And also there's TV deals and bloody management bits and bobs. A lot more complicated stuff, But I think they could get it done, and I would like to see it happen.
How do you think? Because we're talking about co-promotion, we're talking about fighting those people. How do you think you would fare in a Ryan against Ryan Bader, which I think that'd be a great matchup? John Jones, of course, he's the GOAT. He's a tough matchup for everybody. Or even one heavyweight champion, Anatoly Malikin. Like, how do you think you'd match up in those fights with those guys?
I can beat anyone on my day, I mean, I think Tom Aspinall's the best in the world, and he's going to show everyone he's the best in the world over the next year. And I'm mixing up well with him, I have my days, he has his days, and we have some great tussles, we've got a great squad here. And I can beat anyone, and I go in every fight knowing I'm going to win, but it'll materialise in the win, But well, we'll see. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's try it. Let's go do it. Get me paid 2 million.
You're only 37, which is almost kind of like, it's almost like heavyweight fighter prime at this point. It's not. Yeah. That's just how the division is. So crazy. But you have done so much in KSW. About to hit your 30th fight on July 15th. So what's left to do? Is there a title defense mark? Like, you want to set a record, title defenses that can't be broken in KSW? Is it going to light heavyweight? Is it a champ thing? Everybody wants to be champ. And how much longer do you want to fight? I mean, you've done so much. Is it kind of like, does that add interest to moving on, or just maybe I've done enough, I can move on in a year or two?
No, I think I don't think I'll line up in the sunset. I think I'll keep fighting when I'm really crap and keep getting beat. I think it's a hard thing to walk away from, especially when you're getting paid. But
Yeah.
I know I do. I've got my little plan. Like I want to homeschool my own children, and when they reach secondary school, and that's in about 5 years, so maybe take the foot off the gas there. But I'm like, as for I don't really care about records and things. I always believe. I mean, it's nice to be so decorated and have like. I mean, it was nice to get the Rolex as well, but I'm of the mentality is your next fight is always the most important thing ever. All the rest don't matter. The ones after that don't matter until they're there. I put everything into this next fight, and not like it's like do or die. So, who knows how long I'll keep going for. But I'm improving every fight. Like I really, really have found my niche now. I've got the best team I've had around me ever. I've got the best coach around me, and I'm just gonna keep kicking ass and get paid.
And speaking, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned you're better, and also going back to the idea of just heavyweights don't seem to really mature to their highest peak until like later 30s, sometimes in their 40s and stuff like that. You now compared to you 7 years ago, 5 years ago, does the fighter that exists now just destroy Phil DeFreeze like 7 years ago?
Well, yeah, but I still had the mental health issues then, and I
Mm,
couldn't perform at all. And
yeah.
since I beat the mental health issues, I've started learning more. I couldn't learn before. I kind of used to be like, I couldn't even think. It was just madness, insanity, fear, and just
Yeah.
adrenaline pushing me through. Since I beat that, I'm learning. I like for instance with my boxing. I couldn't snap punches and be relaxed. I would always be like, ooh, ooh,
Mm.
like that's no way to box. You got to have a rhythm and be relaxed.
Yeah.
I've only just started learning that in a few years. I couldn't pick my shots. I couldn't change game plans midway through the fight. Uh, Take advantage of some of these mistakes. I wasn't even learning when I was fighting. So
Wow.
since I beat the anxiety, like over the last 6 years, every fight I get better because I learn from my mistakes. I'm registering what went wrong, and I'm getting better. I like every like I haven't even reached my peak yet. Like my brain is ready to take to the next level.
Talk to me about, and I hope I don't butcher his name, Seasonbajore. I was close enough. Talk to me about your opponent coming up on the 15th. On paper, he seems like a solid fighter, but like the threat level doesn't seem big enough, and that might be my own lack of knowledge on his skill set. But what is keeping you up at night going into this fight? Is there something that he offers when you're doing the scouting, when you look at his previous fights, like, okay, I need to be careful with this. This could be real trouble. Or honestly, at this level, when you've defended the title so many times, done so well, is the fear like, I can't fall on my face here and lose this belt against a guy I know I can beat? Like, that's the fear, not, just not losing your spot.
No, he's very, very good. He mixes it up well, a lot better than a lot of people. But I don't know if that plays as very well then, because he's not going to be able to grapple anywhere near as good as me. So maybe his good grappling might lead him into a sort of trap. But I'm always motivated by fight. He is a great fighter. He's been around a long time. He is dangerous everywhere. But the way I'm feeling at the moment, I'm doing like rounds with Tom, rounds with Mick Parker every single day, and I put myself through hell. So hopefully it shouldn't be as hard as that.